Marielle, hi. Thank you for coming on Coaches on a Mission.
Thank you very much, Dallas. I'm very glad to be here and thank you for having me, of
Yeah,
course.
of course. I should let our listeners know. We tried to record this session yesterday. There's a snowstorm happening at my house. There are all sorts of things getting in our way, but we're here and we're ready. So I'm grateful to you for giving it another try.
Thank you.
All right. So, in the intro to this session, I provided our listeners with some context because you've had a bit of a messaging evolution. And I thought that was all valuable for them to know in order for them to get the most out of our coaching time. So, they have a clear picture of the evolution that you've been on. So, I would love to just start by asking you, what do you want to get out of our conversation today? What problem is it we're trying to solve?
Yes, what I would like to get out is I will soon start doing client search for the second time. And what I would like to get out of this conversation is clarity about uh, whether I should go on, whether I should wait, and to achieve having a list of 28 ambassador referrals
Great.
and I don't know how many direct invites, but it's kind of an issue for me, a challenge to get
Hmm.
those many contacts.
Yeah, got it. So, my understanding, because I've gotten to know you, is I'll give our listeners a little bit of context. With Client Surge, folks, there are three tracks to bringing leads into a sales call. The the heftiest one is through referral marketing. There are also direct personal invitations and there's a social media strategy, but the real heart of Client Surge relies on what we call ambassador referrals. The last time you surged, well, you're just a bit of an introverted person. A lot of the people that you sort of know them from a past life in a way, right? The context within which you know them doesn't translate easily for you to feel comfortable requesting referrals. Am I understanding that piece accurately?
Yes, I would say the people that I have in my mind as ambassador referrals are other coaches that I have been in various coaching programs along, the
Yeah,
last couple of years. And yeah, so this does not necessarily relate very well to my message, right? To
right. Right. Or you just don't feel like you're close enough to them to comfortably ask or for them to comfortably say yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Yep.
Because we know each other, yes, but
Mhm.
with many of them, I don't have such a close relationship with. And this
Yeah.
is a piece that is always a challenge for me.
Mhm.
Approaching someone, do they remember me? Do they remember what I do? And now there is one new piece that has been added to all this challenge, which is I've changed my message
Yeah.
recently.
Mhm.
So now they may remember me and they may remember me as the father wound coach. And now I'm going to approach them with a different message.
Yep. Got it. I totally understand, and I'm so glad we're having this conversation because you are not alone. I relate, right? It's challenging. Asking for referrals is challenging, and it isn't always the best path for every coach. So, what I would like to explore, let's use the client surge as a framework, but get playful with how we adjust the framework. Okay. Can you tell me what your goal is when it comes to client attraction? How many clients would you like to sign in the next 30 to 60 days?
Well, I would like to sign up 7 clients.
7 clients.
Yeah.
Great. So imagine now there is a coach in a program that you've been a part of that you would recognize if they reached out to you, but that's kind of as far as it would go, right? You would recognize them, you would know they weren't an asshole, but otherwise, you don't know much else, all right? If
Okay.
they reached out to you to ask for support in some way as they're building their business, what is an ask that you would feel curious about or comfortable exploring?
Yeah. So this is a piece that has changed a lot with the change in my message,
Yeah.
because approaching people with, the father wound piece, it's a heavy topic to talk about. So if
Mm-hmm.
someone, that's what I thought the first time I did client search. If I knew someone and someone would approach me as, I help women overcome their difficult father stories, I would like to know what is their, healing approach. I would like to know a little bit more about the work that they do, because if I'm going to refer this coach to someone I know, I want to have a level of trust in
Yep.
this person. So now that I have a different message, which is not that heavy, and I'm doing exactly the same thing. This is,
Totally.
but I'm presenting myself differently,
Yeah.
and it makes things lighter,
Yes.
right? So now I'm presenting myself as, I help women silence their negative inner self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
It is not such a heavy topic, and if someone approached me with this kind of message, I would be more open. If, for instance, I know someone who is struggling, with, I don't know why, but I have these thoughts coming up.
Yes.
Thoughts of unworthiness, I'm not enough, I'm not good, I will always fail. These kind of thoughts. It would be easier for me to say, hey, I know this person.
Yeah.
I
You,
check it out.
you know what I'm thinking as I listen to you is I think it's safe to assume that uh, whether I can pinpoint a specific person or not, hearing this message, the place my mind goes to is I bet you there's somebody in my world who needs this, even if I don't know who they are. And again, there's a lightness to making the invitation, right? A curiosity rather than, okay, father wound, this is a big deal. I got to make sure I'm putting people in very good hands, and I have to be very specific about who I'm sending over. So, understanding that we have this adjustment in messaging that lightens the load, so to speak. Imagine again, there is a coach that you recognize but don't really know who reaches out to you to ask for support building their business. What kind of ask would you be open to?
What kind of ask? What I would be open to, if I know someone, I would be
Mm-hmm.
open to refer this person to this coach.
Great. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
there you have it.
Well,
Thanks for
yes.
coming on the show. No,
I mean,
just kidding.
for instance, among coaches, and because we are in communities, and we speak a lot with each other, one of the things that comes up very often is the imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
This is one thing that is common, and it has a lot to do with the negative self talk. So if
Mm-hmm.
I knew someone saying, oh, I'm struggling with my imposter syndrome so much, I would have this idea of, okay, I know this person,
Yeah.
check her out. Yeah, it would be easier for me.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, we tried to record yesterday. So, I've had the last 24 hours to think on this a little bit. And I'd love to share an idea and get your thoughts. If your goal is 7 clients, we're just playing, it's a bit of a numbers game, right? We want as many aligned leads as possible coming in at the top of the funnel. And then some book a sales call and some don't. And some show up to the sales call and some don't. And some convert and some don't, right? So there's definitely attrition along the way. But what I was wondering was, what if you, instead of asking peers to refer one on one clients to a one on one call, what if the referral request you asked for was to a class of some sort? Like, what if before surging, right? You design, and you know this works so well. This would be a pretty light lift for you, but you could put 2 dates on the calendar where you're going to teach a 40-minute class offering up one really tangible tool to overcome negative self talk. So now the request is less precious, right? Like, do you know a specific person? And now you got to put your reputation on the line. Instead, the request could be, I know you from coaching program XYZ. I would love to support each other as we're building our businesses. So I'm going to host a class about overcoming negative self talk. How open would you be sharing it with your community? So now they don't have to even think of an individual person, right? And in return, at any point this year, if you would like me to return the favor, I would love to do so. So we really shift this out of, can you do me a favor energy because we don't know each other well, into, hey, I know you well enough to know that together we can support each other in building our businesses. So that was the idea I was playing with over the last day. How does all of that land for you?
Hmm. Well, it lands like doing a bit more of work to prepare these classes, but it would be a very good exercise. So,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be an option, absolutely. And yeah, so putting up a couple of dates on my
Mm-hmm.
calendar
Mm-hmm.
to give a 40-45 minutes class
Mm-hmm.
on one specific tool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would be, yeah, an experiment. Absolutely.
Right. And so my marketing mind is whirling right now. I'm just going to brainstorm out loud with you if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, moving through client search, you will still do the direct personal invite track as it's scheduled in client search. You will still implement the social media strategy as it's laid out in client search. We're just going to insert this one step as an experiment
Okay.
because your circle of influence, they're a little bit removed, right? There are a lot of people you are around, right? But not necessarily people who are close to you. So let's set up an environment where it's a little bit easier for them to say yes. And now this functions as a list build for you instead of just a referral funnel, right? Right. So you would put 2 dates on the calendar, and this could be, you can bring this question to a Hive call. We can outline your workshop, but this could be a very light, very valuable, but very light lift workshop where you're not making slides or anything like that. You're showing up with that, maybe the steps of the tool. You're talking about why this is important. You're taking people through the exercise, and then you're doing Q&A.
Okay.
This puts people in experiential marketing. Now, someone who doesn't know you at all but was referred has had an experience with you. So trust escalates. And there are 2 places where you can move people into a sales call. One would be when they schedule or when they book their time to come to the workshop, that confirmation email, right? Could be, great, you're in. The workshop's happening on February 4th. If you want to get a jump start, I'll be inviting everyone at the workshop into a free one-on-one conversation with me so that we can take what you'll learn further. If you want to get a jump start, book that call now. So you wouldn't have to wait until the end of the workshop to pitch the sales call. That could be a part of the confirmation. We call it the show up strategy. That would be a part of your show up strategy for the workshop itself. And then, of course, at the workshop, that invitation is presented again.
Okay. Well, it feels a little bit intimidating.
I know you're sitting here, your eyes are so wide open. I wish our listeners could see you. I cannot get a read at all on how this is going for you, Marielle.
And you know, one of the things that I'm thinking about is the technical setup.
Mm-hmm.
So I would need to set up a page where people can register.
Yep,
I would need to set up the emails, the welcome emails. So when people register, they are registering to my email list. They are
correct.
getting in my email list.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
I would need to set up the welcome message or messages for that kind of person,
Mhm.
and then how to host the masterclass because it's the first time I would do that. So maybe it's just as easy as a Zoom link.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Is it?
Yeah. So I'm going to let you continue thinking through, right? Making your list of what needs to be set up. I'm grabbing it, and then we will go through. First, we'll check in and make sure this is something you even are interested in trying. Then we'll go through and I'll take you through the steps to get this set up. It's actually not that different from the work you already are doing inside of Client Search.
Okay.
So you mentioned a registration page, reminder emails, figuring out where the class is being hosted, and you're correct, it's Zoom. Is there anything else you can think of that would be required to pull this event off?
The preparation of the class.
Right, the class content, great. And then
And
the last one, go ahead.
and then further emails after the class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll call them sales emails, even though you're
Sales.
not selling, you're offering a free thing. But yeah. So with Client Surge, there's a page where people register, right? They book a call with you. There are reminder emails after they've booked the call, right? You're hosting that conversation. Do you have your sales calls on Zoom?
I do have my sales calls,
Okay.
so I
So
have that.
step 3 is the same. Step 4, you're coaching them, right? In our process here, this is the class content. So that's where there is some work to do, right? And then sales emails. So in Client Surge, we have the invite letter, right? And that follow up piece. So it's actually, other than figuring out what it is you're going to deliver, it's pretty much, it's hardly any more work than the Client Surge process that you've already gone through. So you have an idea, right, of what that process looks and feels like.
Yeah, I do. And I did practice it a lot in my
Mhm.
first round. And yeah, that's why I feel so prepared. But this is a new funnel. Well, it feels exciting, actually.
I'm super stoked about it too. I'm glad you
Yeah.
say that. Because it's a list build, and I feel like for the introverted person who questions how much her circle would really be willing to give referrals, this just feels like a lighter request, right?
Yes. Yes. And I'm wondering something, what happens after the class?
Great, great
Yeah.
question. Okay, so you have your registration page. This can be super simple, right? We'll give your class a name. We'll get there today. Okay. 3 bullet points, like here's what you're going to learn, and then a form. What email marketing program do you use?
I use ConvertKit.
Great. So just an embedded ConvertKit form where people enter their name and email address. That form takes them to a confirmation page. Maybe it's a video from you saying, just so they start to build that familiarity, right? Congratulations, you're in. I look forward to seeing you on February 4th. We're going to talk about this XYZ tool. If you want to get a jump start, everyone who comes to the workshop, I'm going to give you the opportunity to have some one-on-one time with me. Click the button below to get a jump start booking that time. So that is where they go and apply for sales calls.
Ah, okay.
Okay?
So good.
So then in Client Surge, we have the show up strategy, which is what are the reminder emails, the messages people need to receive to actually take the time to come to the call? Same thing with this. Okay.
Okay.
The Zoom class is your Zoom link. That's it. So in the reminder emails, same way, like here's the link to join me. easy breezy.
Yeah. And
Okay,
now I got, yeah.
go
And
ahead.
now another question came up.
Go ahead.
What
Yeah,
about with a replay?
great. That's where your sales emails come in. Okay.
Okay.
Class content. Can we come back to that piece? Because I think if we get clear on that, the rest of this, if you've gone through Client Surge, the rest of this will feel very figure outable.
Okay.
Okay. But then after the class, so toward the end of the class, you'll invite everyone there, right? I want to give you the chance to take this further. So I'm gifting everyone in the room today the opportunity to talk with me one on one. We can take this tool further. You'll get some coaching around the way your thoughts are getting in your way. And I'll give you the chance to learn more about what it's like to work with me on an ongoing basis. Here's the link to book that time. Then you have, let's just call it three emails going out to everyone who registered for the class, right? Whether you were there or not, I don't want you to miss out on the opportunity to get one on one time with me. Here's a place to book that time. We can use it in whatever way is going to serve you to overcome your negative self talk. And I'll tell you a little bit more about what it's like to work with me on an ongoing basis. P.S. The replay is available until Friday. Actually, why don't we make this really easy? Why don't you just send them the link to the Zoom recording? You don't have to put it on a page or anything else. You can just share the link to the Zoom recording and let them know that it's going to expire in 2 weeks or whatever time you want to do that. And then you can just pull the recording down. So there's no tech setup. Zoom houses it right on Zoom. You just send people to
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah, it hosted in the cloud, right? So it
Yep.
would be just a link to the Zoom cloud recording.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Sounds doable.
I wish our listeners could see this. Like your expression. Now I'm getting a read, right? You're just with every step, you're just getting a little bit more into it. Okay, let's talk about this big piece, which is the class content.
Okay.
Okay, if you could pick okay, I'm going to back it up for our listeners. Whether you're delivering a webinar to enroll into a course, even if you're doing an Instagram live, right? Anytime you're delivering teaching content, the goal is to give people traction. It's to help them experience their own capabilities. It is not to teach the whole thing, because often teaching the whole thing in that short amount of time, it just creates overwhelm. So now I leave the class feeling less capable of overcoming my negative self talk than I did before I came. If I don't feel capable, I'm not going to invest in coaching, right? Why would I waste my money? So the biggest mistake, I've done it. I think every content creator has done it. The biggest mistake we often make when we deliver free classes is we over deliver and we then sabotage our goal of giving people traction, helping them experience their own capabilities.
Yes.
So, understanding here that the work you do is very layered, it's very customized depending on where your client is at. Can you think of a tool or process that you could share that just cracks the door open for folks and could really allow them to experience their own capabilities?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is the capability of separating yourself from that inner voice. That is so critical
Okay.
because we get lost in that inner voice, and that is what creates all the suffering, right? So, the first step is to start separating yourself from that voice. So that voice is there for a reason. You have a history. Maybe you've had very critical parents. That judgment has been is in your mind and is uh, playing. Now your parents are not there, maybe, but their voice is in your mind and is playing all the time.
Great. Okay, let's
So
go with this.
yeah, sounds
Um,
good.
so, and then we'll come up with the name. But inside of the Foolproof Webinar Formula, which is one of the courses in the Hive, the process I recommend for delivering teaching content is 5 S's. Okay. I call it the full picture framework. It really delivers the full picture of the content you're teaching. Step 1 is the situation. Describe the experience your client is having. You just did that so beautifully, right? You have a history that has deeply ingrained some negative self talk, ingrained it so deeply, and you've lived with it so long that now it's hard to tell what's you, right? And what's the voice of someone or something else. It all just feels true.
Yes.
The first step to freeing yourself from negative self talk is awareness. And that's the tool we're going to talk about today. Okay. So the circumstance, the situation is what you explained. And then you moved totally gracefully into the second S, which is naming the solution. Okay. So now I'm going to hand you the mic. The third S is sharing the steps of the solution in action. So if you were to break down the process or the practice even of developing awareness, what does that process look like?
Yeah. Yeah, the first step is, as you said, awareness. So you realize, you have this moment of realization. Oh, here is my judgment. And then you don't continue acting it out unconsciously, but you become aware.
Mm-hmm.
Then you honor that that voice is there for a reason. So you don't push it away, you don't try to get rid of it or anything, but you are in charge. So you approach it with, I can take care of this voice. Maybe now I don't know how, because that is what comes in my coaching, how to
Yep.
do that. But I know that I can like lead, take care of this, be in charge of my life, and do something about this voice.
Yes. Great. So if you delivered a class, sharing these steps, really shifting into curiosity about your own judgments.
Yes.
This is the thing that elevates awareness and moves you from operating unconsciously to operating consciously. And then honoring the part of you that needs, or the part of you that's been resourceful enough to rely on this negative self talk for whatever reason you needed it. And then claiming, I don't know if responsibility is the right word, but claiming ownership of caring for that part. Do you think you could flesh out those steps to talk for 10 or 12 minutes about this
Yes,
process?
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes,
Okay.
it's doable.
Okay, great. And then the last S in this full picture framework is telling a story, right? So we
Okay.
tell a story of this process in action. There are a lot of folks who learn more, they learn at a deeper level through storytelling than through just seeing the steps laid out for them, right? So in order to serve those type of learners, but also help everyone there see themselves in the process you're delivering, this is where a story comes in. And it could be your own story. It could be the story of a client that you worked with. Of course, you would protect their privacy, but you want to just tell a story of the before, the during, and the after of what happened for you or for a client when they were able to develop awareness.
Yeah. Okay. So when they were able to develop these steps that I am talking about in this class.
Hmm. Right.
Okay.
And sometimes the best story to tell is your own.
It is. I have plenty of stories to tell about this.
And the secret to powerful storytelling when you're teaching, especially teaching to convert, right, is specificity. So I'm
Yes.
just going to make up an example here. So instead of saying, I grew up with parents who were just very strict. I developed a lot of negative self-talk. When I learned how to be aware, now I feel free. Okay, like those are the very high level points, but there's no story there, right? Instead, you might tell a very specific instance at dinner time, right? When your mom said a very specific thing and how you felt and what you did afterward, and how that got planted deep inside of you, and how it showed up again in high school and then again in your, I'm totally making this up, Marielle, but in your
Yeah.
first marriage, right? And what happened there. And then as you begin to develop awareness, how did that feel? What was the discomfort? What did you begin to notice? And then what specifically is different now? The more color you can bring to this story, the more powerful it is for the learner.
Yes. Well, this makes me think of the specific story that I could tell, which is the moment I was taking a course with a company that then I took my coaching certification with, which was the moment when I became aware that this negative self-talk, it was not my fault. There was nothing
Ah,
wrong about me, but it was there for a reason.
yes.
This was a huge moment, a huge realization, and it inspires me to bring this kind of realization to the people that come to this class.
That's exactly
So,
what we're looking for.
yeah,
Perfect. Perfect. So I'm imagining this portion of your class being probably up to about 20 minutes by the time you welcome everyone and take them through the process, right? Then you've got another 10, 20 minutes for Q&A. Before you shift to Q&A, that's when you'll present your invitation to take this work further with a one-on-one call.
okay,
And then you
yeah,
just open it up to questions from the group. They get to see you being agile, right? And connected to individuals as they're asking questions, which motivates more people to go and schedule a call with you.
yeah.
I'm
Okay.
really excited about this idea for you.
I am very excited as well. I mean, it feels scary still,
Hmm. Yeah.
but yes, I like the idea. Absolutely.
Okay. So the problem we were trying to solve with this idea was how can you confidently and gracefully leverage the loose connections you have to bring in more leads to client search? So we thought, okay, well, instead of, do you know a single person who you can send a single person to me? Open it up to suggest collaborations with the coaches that you've been building your business alongside, and they don't have to think of an individual person. They just need to say yes to announcing this class to their community, no matter how big or small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds good.
Great. What, if any, thoughts or questions do you have around this plan?
I can't think of any question.
Okay, that,
I
that,
think,
that means we're going to have another conversation on a Hive call this month because questions will come up, right?
yeah.
Okay, so I need to narrate this for myself. So forgive me. We're not throwing client surge out the window here. You can still follow the surge process for direct personal invites and for your social media strategy. Stick to the schedule, be in that surge momentum. We've now just inserted an extra step or component to that referral ambassador timeline. The goal being with this format you're going to bring in many more leads than you would asking for individuals to send other individuals to a one-on-one call.
Right. And I do have one question now.
Yeah.
So, for my social media strategy, would
Yeah.
you recommend to still promote a one-on discovery call,
I was
or
I was thinking about that same
yeah,
thing.
mm,
I don't think you can do it wrong. So pick what feels most aligned for you. The place we ultimately want folks who even sign up for the workshop is in a discovery call. And for that reason, I would follow that social media strategy promoting the calls because it's just another place for those folks to see what the real offer is. So I would stick to promoting the discovery calls.
right? Okay, okay. And then there is another question. If I have this recording,
Mhm.
could I use this recording as a free resource, for instance?
I love your thinking because now you've got a brand new lead magnet on your hands when this is
Yeah,
finished.
exactly.
Totally. Yeah,
Wow. This is inspiring me, Dallas.
I'm glad. Me
Yeah.
too. I'm excited. I want to do this, Marielle.
Yes, thank
Great.
you very much. Really, it's been very helpful talking
Yeah.
about this new idea, opening up this new possibility. And yeah, it kind of takes the pressure out of the ambassador referrals and direct
Yes.
invites. So yeah, it feels good.
Yeah, I'm so glad. For me, and I'm just thinking about other people listening to this, for me, one reason why I'm excited about this strategy for your unique circumstance is that a lot of your referral ambassadors are other coaches who are also building communities. If your referral ambassadors were, I'm making something like moms, right, who aren't building their own lists and communities, it may not make as much sense to ask people to send people to a workshop. It probably makes way more sense for them to pinpoint an individual person. But specifically because the people you're going to be inviting to be ambassadors, they're in your shoes. They're also building a community. That's why I think this free class strategy is just so perfect for you.
Yeah, I think so too. And even people who don't have a big following, it could be a good idea to send this uh, invite to share the class with their audience, right? It doesn't need to be coaches who have a big audience.
Not at all. Not at all. And the other thing that just came up for me, I can't think of a coach in any sort of niche whose audience wouldn't benefit from a free class about overcoming negative self talk. So now, as the coach, thank you for giving me a tool that's valuable that I can share with my audience. It just feels like a win all the way
Right.
around.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Great. We did it. I didn't know if we
Yeah.
were going to get this done or not.
Thank
So
you
I'd love
very
to
much.
just, oh, you're welcome. Let's wrap it up with, I'd love to just hear from you. What do you feel like are your next 2 or 3 steps to get this process going for yourself?
Well, I think I would start preparing the class
Mm-hmm.
and the registration page, because I think both things are going to go together, and doing the preparation of one is going to help me doing the preparation of the other. And then the video that you said after the person registrates, I think that these three pieces, they have to go well together, and as I prepare one, it's going to help me prepare the other. I think it's going to be similar material. So yes, I think I would start with that, also because I tend to start with the parts that I think are more difficult.
Yes. Yeah.
So yes, I think those would be my first. next
Great.
steps.
Great. When you have your registration page ready, bring it to a Hive call. I'm happy to go through it and give you feedback so we can make sure it converts as well as possible.
Okay, we'll do that. Thank you, Dallas.
Exciting. Thank you for coming on the show. I can't wait to see how this unfolds for you.
Thank you.